Good afternoon, everyone, and to those of you joining this significant event from across the globe, welcome to the exclusive virtual reveal of the new Abaca Resort Mactan, brought to you by the leading real estate developer in the Visayas and Mindanao, Cebu Landmasters. I am Carla Henry Aman, and it is an absolute pleasure to bring you another milestone for Cebu Landmasters as we reveal today the new and reimagined Abaca Resort Mactan, which will open its doors in 2024. Now, I'm a proud Cebuana, and I know how well loved the Abaca Resort is. I mean, the food, the place, and the service, what's not to love? I can't tell you how excited I am for today. You know, from the minds of internationally renowned architectural design firm Bureau Ole Shiren, along with the country's leading architectural firm Idea Philippines, the new Abaca Resort Mactan will truly make a mark in the country's hospitality and travel scene. This redeveloped jewel of a resort located in Punta Engaño, Lapu-Lapu City is expected to redefine the luxury resort destination, not just for Cebu, but for the rest of the country. With its picturesque oceanfront, world-class design, and top-notch personalized experience like no other. Definitely something to get us all excited about, don't you think? Now, I don't know about you, I'm getting a little excited, but I think I want to book my vacation in Abaca Resort Mactan right now. But before we begin officially, we would like to acknowledge the presence of our distinguished guests joining us on this virtual event. From Cebu Landmasters, we have Mr. Franco Soberano, Mr. Matthias Bergenthal, and Mr. Jose Ceborano III. From the Abaca Group, we're honored to have Mr. Jason Hyatt. From Idea Philippines, architect Abelardo Jojo Tolentino Jr. And from Bureau Ole Shiren, we have architect Ole Shiren. From the Department of Tourism Central Visayas, we have Mr. Shalimar Tamado. And joining us today is our Honorable Mayor Junard Ahong Chan from Lapu-Lapu City. Of course, present as well are all our friends from the media, bloggers, and key national and local influencers. Now, our broker partners are also joining us this afternoon, and notable members of the Cebuano community and the teams of Cebu Landmasters and the Abaca Group. Thank you so much for gracing us with your time on this momentous occasion. And to all of you joining this event in the comfort of your homes and offices, or wherever you may be right now, welcome once again to the virtual reveal of Abaca Resort Mactan. Feel free to use the following hashtags, hashtag Abaca Resort Mactan and hashtag Cebu Landmasters, and tag our official social media pages in Facebook and Instagram at Abaca Resort Mactan and Cebu Landmasters. Now, while you're at it, give us a shout out in the comments section below to say hello and let us know how you're finding our event so far. We also encourage you to interact and leave your questions or insights on Abaca Resort Mactan in the Q&A box so our special guests and speakers may address them later. So to get us all brimming with excitement about Abaca Resort Mactan, let's officially begin the program as I introduce our first speaker. He joined Cebu Landmasters in 2010 and now serves as its Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, leading the ground-up operations and project delivery cycle for all CLI projects across Visayas and Mindanao. Ladies and gentlemen, please give me a warm welcome to Mr. Franco Soberano.
Good afternoon and welcome to the unveiling of the new Abaca Resort Mactan. The pandemic has really made one thing very clear. The world misses travel. The world needs their dose of inspiration, relaxation, balance, and more. These are unlocked from the many tastes, sights, and sounds that we encounter in our travels around the world. While we are moving one step forward in our recovery, the potential for travel remains. If not, it grows stronger by the day. For us here in Cebu, one of those special travel getaways was always at Abaca Resort Mactan. For me personally, there was always something extra special about Abaca. From the always intimate ambiance, mouth-watering food, the special pampering from the butler service, and simply the beautiful serenity throughout the resort. There was a magic there that Cebuanos and guests from around the world yearned for. I've had my personal memories there. I remember staying in Abaca when my wife was 7 months pregnant with our first child. And I simply remember how well we were taken care of and how happy we were to be there. As you all know, the Abaca Group started with Jason Hyatt, a brilliant chef, but you all know he's more than that. He's a big dreamer who's extra meticulous with the details because he wants only the very best for his customers. So when Jason approached Cebu Landmasters about the opportunity to acquire and redevelop Abaca Resort Mactan, the smart guy that he is knew he already had me from the beginning, a fan. We share the same wavelength when it comes to spoiling our customers and giving them only the very best. Today, we are very honored to unveil the new vision for Abaca Resort Mactan. In my mind, I ask myself, how do we recreate Abaca, but at the same time preserve its intimacy, class, sophistication, and details to remain as not only the #1 boutique resort in Cebu, but to make it one of the most desired resort destinations in the entire Southeast Asian region. We needed the best design mind to take on this project, and that's why we brought in architect Ole Sheeran and his magnificent team at Bureau Ole Sheeran with Eric Chang and Dave Kingminghe. I've always been a fan. More a fan of how his works have really both challenged the norm, broken the mold, but at the same time taken a deep dive into understanding a project's sense of place, history, culture, and people. More than the awe his works evoke, what makes Ole Sheeran the perfect design mind, that his works always reinvigorates the destination and elevates the experience of its users. From building iconic skyscrapers to now building resort villas in the sky. Thank you, Ole, Eric, and Dave. Assisting Bureau Ole Sheeran is the #1 architectural firm in the Philippines, IDEA, headed by my good friend, architect Jojo Tolentino, along with the best engineering designers in the entire country. A big thank you to our dear Mayor, Ahong Chan, and the city of Lapu-Lapu, who just celebrated and commemorated the 500-year quincentennial of the Battle of Mactan. That's just 1 kilometer away from the Abaca site. The historic resort city of Lapu-Lapu welcomes its newest jewel with the new Abaca Resort Mactan. This year, Cebu Landmasters will march towards its 100th project, but this is our resort #1. This project understands the significance of our country's tourism potential, but we in CLI also understand the pride of the Cebuanos and our pride in our world-famous hospitality. We can't wait for you to experience the new Abaca Resort Mactan when we open our doors at the end of 2024. Once again, welcome and good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Soberano, for that warm and inspiring message. I know all of you have just leveled up your excitement already to know exactly what's in store for Abaca Resort Mactan. But when we talk about Abaca, we talk about luxury, right? But what is true luxury? It's about understanding quality and having the time to enjoy it. It isn't about acquiring expensive things, but about living in a way where you appreciate the finer things in life. With the new and reimagined Abaca Resort Mactan, there is much to be desired and more to be thrilled about. Our next distinguished speaker is the Director of Assets for CLI Premier Hotels Incorporated. He oversees the hotel assets and its operations as he represents CLI's interests vis-a-vis the hotel operators. His tasks include meeting investment goals and increasing the value of CLI Premier Hotels assets and optimizing CLI's recurring income business from the hospitality industry. To introduce the hotel arm of Cebu Landmasters and talk about the strategic alliance between Cebu Landmasters and the Abaca Group is Mr. Matthias Bergenthal. But before that, let's watch this video.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today marks an important milestone for Cebu Landmasters Hospitality Group, CLI Premier Hotels. We are revealing CLI's first resort, Abaca Resort Mactan, which will be our jewel project in a growing hospitality portfolio of now 10 hotels and over 1,700 rooms. Adding a luxury boutique resort will diversify our hotel pipeline, which has been focused mainly on growing urban cities like Cebu City, Bacolod, and Davao. Abaca Resort Mactan is already our third hotel project we are revealing in the last 6 months, after we have presented a few months ago very exciting projects, namely Sofitel Cebu City and Mercor Cebu Downtown. Revealing to the public major hospitality projects in a very uncertain and turbulent times we are currently having with this pandemic shows how much we believe in the recovery of the hospitality business. We firmly believe that the industry will bounce back even stronger given the long travel pause we are experiencing and the continuous growth of the hospitality sector in our country pre-pandemic. Abaca Mactan was already a multiple award-winning, highly rated boutique resort, well known in the region for its exclusivity, unique personalized experience, and amazing food. When in CLI, we are very happy and honored to be given this opportunity to further develop this special place and enhance its magnificence while trying to preserve the identity and spirit of the original resort we all loved. For our hospitality group, it has been so far an incredible and enriching journey in the planning and development process of the new Abaca Resort Mactan. Collaborating with a star architect like Ole Sheeran and its international team, also with a top local partner like IDEA, is a dream for a hospitality asset developer like us. The architects have created a unique and exclusive boutique resort concept which will certainly be the first of its kind. At CLI, we are very proud of our partnership with Jason Hyatt and the Abaca Group, who will continue to manage the hotel with its very personalized service concept, independent attitude, and a very strong dedication for quality, and always with the aim to surprise and delight its guests. The redeveloped resort, with its breathtaking architecture and luxurious interior design, will elevate the hospitality landscape in the Philippines and neighboring countries to new heights by offering an unforgettable experience. Now I have the honor to pass the floor to the founder, managing partner and executive chef of Abaca Group of Companies, Mr. Jason Hyatt, an important man in the Cebu's food and hospitality scene and a very interesting and inspiring personality. He is the man behind several critically acclaimed Abaca food and hospitality brands and the founder of the Abaca Resort Mactan. So without further ado, I'm very pleased to present to you Mr. Jason Hyatt.
Good afternoon and hello from Sydney. Thank you for joining us today. First off, I'd like to share a bit of the history of Abaca Resort. 18 years ago, my wife Anna and I were working for a hospitality group in Hong Kong. We had a rough concept for a boutique hotel that we wanted to build. With my skills as a chef and hers in sales and marketing, we were confident that this was the perfect time in our careers to make the move. We presented this idea to our amazing partner, Mark Companion, whose vast experience in the global retail industry would help us to define what Abaca would be all about. To make a really long story short, we got on a plane, flew to Cebu, and Abaca's seed was planted. Within a few months, we had quit our jobs, packed up our young family, and moved to Cebu to make a go of it. After a 2-year build, what came out of this was a really special and intimate location that Abaca has become known for. To be honest, there was actually a bit of concern during the final stages of bringing Abaca to life. Many people were questioning our business model. They just couldn't understand why we were opening a restaurant without air conditioning in the middle of the tropics, a beach resort with no sand, and a price point way beyond any independent resort had at the time. To top it all off, we were 40 minutes away from anywhere and had just 9 parking spots for a 78-seat restaurant. Luckily, the market soon understood what we were trying to offer, a style of service that's understated, sophisticated, thoughtful, and unobtrusive. To our delight, through the enthusiasm of our customers, we became one of the most sought-after restaurant and resort reservations in the country. What followed was international exposure, multiple travel awards, and being consistently at the top of the market in almost every travel guide there was. We attribute this to our Abaca style of service and to the commitment of our staff, where the gardener was equally as important as the chef, and where every member on duty knew every guest's names, including the kids and including the nannies. Fast forward to a few years ago, CLI presented us with an opportunity to operate their food and beverage services in their upcoming Citadines Hotel. Through that, I was lucky enough to meet the Soberano family and work directly with Franco and Matias. What was immediately apparent to me was that our two companies shared some of the same DNA, an uncompromising commitment to quality and detail, a strong sense of family within the company, and the pride of being a locally grown brand. As one of the country's top developers, we are honored that CLI has chosen to partner with us once again through their subsidiary, CLI Premier Hotels, being added to their portfolio of established global brands like Accor, Radisson, and Ascot is so inspiring to all of us at the Abaca Group. We are so thrilled to be collaborating and learning from the creative teams of Ole Sheeran and Idea. Their challenge has been to elegantly translate the boutique feel of Abaca into a much larger multi-story footprint. We are quite confident that with our sky villas, private plunge pools, and oceanfront suites, that they have brilliantly brought the new Abaca Resort to life. We have developed new food and beverage concepts for the resort, one of which is a live fire Asian concept on the main level, a new normal all-day dining format, and fantastic banquet facilities that can seat over 200. As you would expect, Abaca Restaurant will return and have a new home on the impressive rooftop. The panoramic views of both city and sea will help us to bring the same Abaca intimacy to multiple private dining spaces throughout the property. Abaca Resort Mactan is a momentous step in the development of our group. It is very satisfying to see our flagship brand become the anchor of much greater possibilities with CLI and CLI Premier Hotels. To think, a simple casual conversation with Franco a few years ago has led us on this very exciting journey. We would like to thank CLI for their trust and confidence in our group with the Abaca Resort project. Thank you for joining us today in our virtual launch of Abaca Resort Mactan, and we look forward to seeing you in a few years.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jason Hyatt. It was wonderful to reminisce about the old Abaca Boutique Resort that you founded, a tropical hideaway that offers the tranquility of very private deluxe suites with this highly personalized service that many of our guests today have actually experienced themselves. But what we can't wait to see is how Cebu's boutique luxury resort is set to be transformed and reimagined as it opens in 2024. As many of us know, the architecture and interior design of a boutique hotel is as unique as its operations. While Abaca Resort Mactan's iconic design conveys a progressively forward style, it continues to create an ambiance of being a personal guest in a luxury private home. And because luxury is in the detail, allow us to indulge you with just that. It is my greatest pleasure to introduce to all of you the man behind the internationally renowned architectural firm Bureau Ole Schuren, whose projects won numerous awards globally. Some of his notable works are the CTBUH Urban Habitat Award 2020 winner Duo in Singapore, the World Building of the Year 2015, The Interlace in Singapore, and the Mahanakon Tower in Bangkok, a mixed-use high-rise development that upends the conventional typology of the skyscraper. Ladies and gentlemen, to unveil the new Abaca Resort Mactan, please welcome Bureau Ole Schuren, Principal Architect and Chief Designer, Architect Ole Schuren.
In my life, I've spent a lot of time in the Asian tropics, and I've always been fascinated with the power of nature and with the ingenuity of how people live between the indoors and the outdoors, and how they create a sense of harmony and togetherness between civilization and the natural environment. I think there's also a sense of adventure, and thinking about how to design the new Abaca Hotel, I thought this notion of adventure needed to translate into a very strong emotional experience. I wanted to create a sense of exclusivity, a sense that this is a special place. I wanted to have a feeling of intimacy where it doesn't feel like a big place, but actually like a small place. And I also thought it was very important to transport the notion of privacy and give people the sense that they can be completely by themselves and on their own, or share and engage in collective experiences. But really the experience of nature and this exploration, I think, is really the key idea, and a sense of discovery as you move through the spaces, as you uncover moments in time and moments in space. And the exploration in a way follows a journey through nature, the fantastical nature of the tropics, the nature of the jungle, waterfalls, caves, and many of these visceral experiences that I think are amongst the most powerful that we can have in our lives. And I wanted the hotel to be like something you discover in the jungle, almost like ancient ruins, something that creates a sense of magic, a sense of fantasy, and really thereby embeds the hotel in a very strong personal, emotional story. The site of the project in the northeast of the island of Mactan has a stunning waterfront. It is composed of 2 plots of land that directly face the ocean. And looking around, you could see that in a way, all sides have somewhat attractive views, but it's very clear if you go there, you come to be with the water, to be with the ocean front and the horizon of the sea. So I felt this in a way, this directionality that the site has was very important to explore in the design. And as we were looking at how to conceive the tower of the project, which is in a way defined and predefined by very strict zoning laws and a fairly precise envelope into which we could place the volume. I was interested to understand and explore how could we benefit from the most active and the most stunning views that the architectural configuration could give. A typical tower with a central core would have really distributed views throughout all sides and only given a very small portion towards the ocean. Even most other typical typologies, also including a 45-degree rotation, would have had a very limited impact. So ultimately, we created a flat singular slab in which 100% of all the guest rooms and suites can benefit from the view of the ocean and really set up this very direct and powerful relationship. But I was also concerned how a building of this scale would relate to the ground and to the landscape. So I lifted up the slab of the tower to allow for complete continuity of the landscape underneath the building. So the idea really was that the landscape could flow through. And then finally, we also curved the slab of the tower like a gentle embrace of the view of the ocean to almost pull the water into the building and set up this very strong and also elegant, if you like, relationship. It's almost curved like the leaf of a plant that projects itself towards the waterfront. So this embrace of the ocean together with the flowing landscape and the continuity of the ground, I think, set up a very important basis for the experiences that we're creating inside and throughout the project, including this conceptual notion of arriving at the lobby and being immediately already projected to the horizon of the ocean right in front of you. The lifted tower also allows us to create a somewhat more three-dimensional landscape of all the amenities and activities surrounding the lobby, which then projects forward into a three-dimensional piece of jungle, a three-dimensional piece of landscape that flows forward to engage the ocean and the nature that surrounds you. The idea was to create a tropical village, really a piece of architecture that is more landscape than architecture, really, that would flow in a series of cascading terraces towards the ocean and that would provide full continuity of a visual journey from the arrival at the drop-off through the open air lobby, down the cascading terraces, water basins, pools, towards the ocean front itself. And it's really the notion of a journey from the jungle to the water through an exploration of multiple spaces and experiences. Here, a sense of this very natural moment of arrival, where you really only see glimpses of the hotel. You arrive at the lobby, which provides a big frame towards the water, and you come out to this plateau, the ocean plateau, framed by a series of arched colonnades on both sides that provide shade and contain some of the communal amenities and functions of the site. You can descend a sculptural stair into the underbelly of the project here, spa facilities, both connected to pools and daytime, but also to a much more intimate and darker space can be found. You progress forwards towards the ocean through a series of grottos with light filtering through the spaces with shaded tropical environments, really as the places of exploration, of discovery. You pass by waterfalls and big water basins, and that constant and continuous interaction with self and the powerful elements of nature really are what sculpt your experience. And finally, you're released towards the ocean, towards the cascading terraces, a series of finger-like piers that really reach out into the water and engage in another set of, like, if you want, very personalized and very specific experiences the natural landscape. But for the architecture itself, I was interested how we could draw sort of the heritage of Cebu, of the Philippines, into the project, how we could resonate with elements of historic, vernacular, and partly even the colonial architecture that has, I think, defined much of its historic architectural heritage and image. And these ideas of the colonnades and those pockets became a motive that we wanted to reinterpret, that we felt if we would think of those as pockets of nature and pockets of individual habitation, we could build a lattice, a three-dimensional framework that would sort of grow across the facade of the building and create these really magical moments of framing, connecting, and defining the landscape surround you. So the tower is really this subtle growth of this lattice. And instead of having rooms and views to the ocean that are simply rectangular squares, they become very engaging spaces in themselves, almost like moving through caves and grottos that give you glimpses of the nature and really have both this sense of intimacy, of adventure, of exploration embedded in them. So the facade is really this deep three-dimensional lattice of experiences. And you can see that both rooms and pockets come in and out, and even a series of swimming pools project out like pieces of a giant rock. And they are personal and private plunge pools with some of the larger suites that I think, together with all the green nature that grows and inhabits the tower, will create for a fantastical experience of nature throughout the building. So it's really a sense of a sky village growing. If you look at the mix of different room typologies and spaces in this all suites hotel, it's really an exploration of difference and personalized spaces and experience. And even the corridor itself is a naturally ventilated element. It is open not only on both ends, but even across the length of the facade, and hosts a whole series of green spaces, of pocket parks and gardens that people can enjoy, that they can explore, if you like, as an extension of the private space of their own suite, but go out and meet in little groups or be alone. And there are these moments of transition between a sense of privacy in your room and equally a sense of collective and joint and social experience throughout the building. The very top contains a rooftop restaurant. The space is made public. And again, it's a stunning space here with views to all sides around the building, to the ocean in the front, to the cityscape in the back of Cebu City. And so the top of the building itself again becomes a public space, is given back to the community and back to all the guests and inhabitants. The suites are a carefully crafted system of very special rooms that not only set up layouts that carefully explore the relationship between the bedroom, the bathroom, outdoor terraces, larger interconnected suites and flows of spaces, and their projecting pools that again set up fantastic moments where you yourself in your own private plunge pool and water float directly above the ocean. But it is really a notion of these very sculptural and soft and intimate spaces that thread throughout the building, and that are, in a way, again, a very specialized and personalized experience of what a hotel room could be, and what the relationship of this protective coves of rooms and these very intimate wooden spaces, how they relate to nature outside, to the stunning views and the horizon of the ocean. The project you could think of as a tropical acropolis. It's really a congregation of a multitude of experiences, of spaces of nature, spaces of social interaction, spaces of carefully crafted architectural articulation. And it is the tower as it emerges from the landscape, but also projects itself towards the ocean as its piers reach into the water that connect the guests and all visitors to the wonders of the natural tropical environment. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a virtual applause on the new Abaca Resort Mactan. I could just imagine the ocean view from amongst those of the 125 all-suite luxury suites and those sky villas. My goodness, what a dream. Truly, the Abaca Resort Mactan's modern design delivers more than an immaculate facade. Its intelligent design, luxurious comforts, and local flavor make it a jewel resort destination for the Philippines. Not just the Philippines, but for Southeast Asia. Cebu Landmasters, the Abaca Group, and its team of international and local designers have truly outdone themselves. We're talking about a Condé Nast award-winning resort and amazing restaurant concepts, raising the bar once again for luxury resorts. It's nothing short of world-class. Speaking of world-class designs, we also wish to acknowledge Idea Philippines, which have been an integral part of the new Abaca Resort. Since that took your breath away, I think we need to relax a little bit and maybe play a little quick game to, get a little bit of pacing on our hearts, because I think we're all really excited about the new Abaca Resort. So let us move on to our trivia game for this afternoon. I will be throwing a couple of questions and images related to the Abaca Resort Mactan virtual reveal to see if a good number of our audience have been paying attention to the program so far. If you know the answer, type it in the chat section located in the right part of your screen. First person who gives the right answer wins an exciting prize. Here's what's up for grabs, everyone. We're giving 5 sets of 5,000 pesos worth of GCs from the Abaca Group. And for the last 2 questions, an additional 2 sets of 10,000 pesos worth of items from Kohler. So I hope you guys are ready and have been paying close attention to our virtual reveal, because I'll be giving the first trivia question right now. Our first question this afternoon. The new and reimagined Abaca Resort Mactan is turning over a new leaf. What year is this exclusive boutique resort opening? Type your answers below. So we're all eager to find out what year it's going to be. Could it be this year or next year? Let's see who's paying attention. So type those answers quick, and let's see who will win one of our GCs this afternoon. So once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us and experiencing the new Abaca Resort Mactan virtually. But we will have to wait till the year is 2024, and that's our answer for this afternoon. Abaca Resort Mactan will be opening its doors in 2024. Congratulations to our winners, Miss Nicole Tan. All right, there's still a lot of chances for you guys to win our GCs this afternoon, so let's move on to our second question. From what used to be a total of 9 suites and villas, Abaca Resort Mactan will be transformed into a 17-story all-suite luxury resort boasting of an ocean view. How many rooms will the new Abaca Resort Mactan have? Type your answers below. So how many? We used to have Abaca Resort used to have 9 suites and villas. Now, if you were listening closely to architect Sharon, you will know exactly how many rooms it can now cater. It's opening its doors bigger and better and brighter for all Cebuanos, Filipinos, and anybody who wants to experience world-class destination. All right, so type in those answers really quickly. Well, if you typed in 125 rooms, you have won. So congratulations to Margot Kamaya for winning our second question. So third question for this afternoon, what is the name of the hospitality arm of Cebu Landmasters, which to date has more than 10 global hospitality brands in its portfolio? Type your answers below. So once again, Cebu Landmasters being the head of all developers here for Visayas and Mindanao has also as a different arm, and they cater to the hospitality side of it. So do you guys know what the name is? So type those answers below. Exciting new projects and developments coming up for Cebu Landmasters, but I think what everyone is excited about right now is definitely the opening of the doors of Abaca Resort Mactan. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon and experiencing the Abaca Resort Mactan experience, even if it is virtually from the comforts of your home. Daghang salamat. All right, here we go. So if you answered CLI Premier Hotels, you have just won. And our main winner, though, is Mr. Luis Quibranza. Congratulations to Mr. Luis Quibranza. You have won our third question for this afternoon. Now let's move on to our fourth question, which is the Abaca Resort Mactan is a unique collaboration between Filipino and international talent. Who is the world-renowned architectural firm behind the design of the new and reimagined Abaca Resort Mactan? Type your answers below. Now, Abaca Resort Mactan was founded by Mr. Jason Hyatt, but it also has different parts or different counter arms right now that's helping create a better and a more luxurious and a reimagined Abaca Resort. So, do you know the world-famous architectural firm? No Googling allowed. All right, here we go. Are you guys hurrying up right now? Type, type, type. So we hope you guys are enjoying also our curated treats from Abaca. Thanks to Mr. Jason Hyatt this afternoon while you guys are joining. So the answer to our fourth question is Bureau Ole Schüren. If that is the answer that you typed in, congratulations, you are correct. But our main winner for our fourth question is Ilin Franz Tamonan. Congratulations, Ilin. You have won one of our gift certificates this afternoon. And now, last question of the afternoon. Last chance for you guys to take home a prize from Abaca Resort Mactan. Abaca Resort Mactan features exciting architectural highlights that makes it stand out as a luxury resort. For clues, check the clickable images in the homepage of the site. So once again, what are some of the exciting architectural highlights that stands out for Abaca Resort Mactan? I don't know about you guys, but I sure am excited to book my stay in Abaca Resort Mactan after hearing architecture and describe exactly what's in store for all of us in 2024. I think I'm very, very anxious to stay and experience the Abaca Resort experience. Here we go. Last chance to win amazing prizes from Abaca Resort. Also taking home some exciting prizes from Kohler as well, because this is our final question. All right, so if you have typed in any of the following: sky villas, interwoven piers, ocean away, waterfall, these are just some of the exciting highlights of the new Abaca Resort Mactan, then you are absolutely correct. But the fastest one to type was Miss Begy Caballes. Congratulations to all of our winners this afternoon. Not only have you proven that you have been paying attention to our virtual reveal for Abaca Resort Mactan, you've also really demonstrated the speed of your connectivity wherever you are. So to all our winners, please contact our Cebu Landmasters marketing team by sending them an email via abacaresortmactan@cebulandmasters.com so they can revert you to the details on how to claim your prizes. To all our audience, again, we would love to hear your thoughts about the new and reimagined Abaca Resort Mactan. Share them with us by using our official hashtags, #Abaca Resort Mactan and #Cebu Landmasters, or tag us on Facebook and Instagram at Abaca Resort Mactan and Cebu Landmasters. Don't forget to also check the Abaca Resort Mactan website at www.abacaresort.com. And for those of you watching us from the Cebu Landmasters Facebook page, give us a shout out in the comment section below, as we would love to hear from you. We also want to encourage everyone joining us via the exclusive reveal site to prepare your questions for our panelists during the Q&A section, which we'll be having towards the end of our program. Indeed, there is absolutely no doubt that Abaca Resort Mactan is redefining luxury travel in this part of the world. Once the international and local travel industries open up and fully recover post-pandemic, Abaca Resort Mactan is ready to open its doors. To talk about the continued optimism of the tourism market in the region, please welcome Department of Tourism Central Visayas Director, Mr. Shalimar Tamano.
Mr. Jose Soberano III, Mr. Jose Franco Soberano, Ms. Joanna Marie Soberano Bergental, hotel executives, fellow speakers, ladies and gentlemen, ngayong hapon kanatong tanan. We are pleased to join you all today in this virtual reveal event of Abaca Resort Mactan, Cebu's most exclusive and award-winning boutique resort which will reopen in 2024. This event not only marks the return of a favorite destination in Lapu-Lapu City, but is also welcome news, as our regional tourism sector is expected to bounce back with the prospect of travel gradually returning. The reopening of Abaca Resort Mactan would surely provide another boost to our recovering tourism industry. Rest assured, our office will continue to work hand in hand with related government agencies and with our tourism stakeholders to ensure that the region remains an attractive hub for tourism and the hospitality industry. We look forward to continuing our close relationship and partnership along with the other industry players, and we will do all we can to support your endeavors. Daghang salamat and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Daghang salamat, Director Tamano, for those inspiring words indeed. There could only be great things to look forward to. With the future opening of the Abaca Resort Mactan, the tourism industry in Cebu is poised to bounce back sooner rather than later. Our next speaker this afternoon is the father of the city government of Lapu-Lapu City, which is the tourism gateway for Cebu and an important hotel and resort destination in the metropolis. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the very hard-working mayor of Lapu-Lapu City, Honorable Junard Ahong Chan.
In behalf of the Utonganons and the local government of Lapu-Lapu City, allow me to congratulate Cebu Landmasters and the Abaca Group in the occasion of the unveiling ceremony of the newest project, the Abaca Resort Mactan. Thank you for making Lapu-Lapu City the home of Abaca Resort Mactan, an exclusive award-winning luxury resort. Set to operate on 2024, Abaca Resort Mactan will significantly change the landscape of the resort business, redefine the resort's experience, and ultimately help revitalize the tourism industry badly affected by the pandemic. As the city mayor of Lapu-Lapu City, I welcome Abaca Resort Mactan to this historic resort city. Once again, thank you and congratulations, Cebu Landmaster and Abaca Group. We look forward to our continued and more strengthened partnership in pursuing the change we envision for the city of Lapu-Lapu. Mabuhay, and to God be the glory.
Daghang salamat, Mayor Ahong Chan, for that beautiful message. And Abaca Resort Mactan is excited to host you and your beautiful wife in 2024. Now, there's nothing like an iconic resort to raise the quality of luxury travel in Cebu and the Philippines, as the city of Lapu-Lapu adds another jewel of a resort to its expanding hospitality locators. We are almost at the end of our program, but of course, this event will not be complete without hearing from the pillar who brought Cebu Landmasters to become the leading developer in Visayas and Mindanao, and the Philippine Property Awards Best Developer in 2019. His passion and vision continues to move the whole CLI team to action, furthering the company's growth to exponential proportions and positively bringing impact to cities and communities through masterfully planned and executed developments. Everyone, for the closing message, it is my honor to give you the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Cebu Landmasters, Mr. Jose Soberano III.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, to all of you who are watching us virtually to this unveiling or launching of Abaca Resort Mactan. This is the third hotel project that Cebu Landmasters has launched this year. And that shows the confidence and bullishness of Cebu Landmasters in really promoting tourism. Not just because that is the direction of the bigger things to come in terms of recurring income that can be generated, but that is also what the country and many of our neighboring countries will be doing to take advantage really of what we have been longing for during this time of the pandemic. And we are all geared up. And I like what we are doing here. Abaca, as the name is derived from the famous export of the Philippines. Now, this is a fibrous plant, which is considered one of our top exports. It symbolizes strength and durability. In many lingos that it has come up with, it's known to be fibrous hemp. And one of the products that can be generated is this matter of the cordage, the marine cordage. This was discovered to be a very strong support that holds even the biggest of ships, so as not to go astray. And I like the symbolism of what the name Abaca represents, because it also brings that global environment conservation that is attached to it. Because Abaca, as you know, holds a lot of water, of a soil that actually prevents flooding and erosion. So that's another plus factor of the name. This Abaca has been doing all these years. The Abaca Mactan, which was actually a brainchild of Jason Hyatt, many years ago. And I'm just glad that we are on this project together. And we have rebranded this for the better and have called it Abaca Resort Mactan. And I also am happy that among all of the strengths that it has signified, the location on where it is adds value to this project. We're better placed than here in Mactan, in Lapu-Lapu City, in the midst of Punta Engaño, where you have the finest beaches that you can find here in Mactan. And I'm glad that we are doing it this year in 2021, because this is the year that we are celebrating the quincentennial of that famous Battle of Mactan. But beyond and more than the victory of the Filipinos on an invader, it actually signaled and welcomed a lot of our tourists and visitors to the shores of our country. And that added the flavor, and that in fact enhanced in the way we are known for, to be hospitable people, knowing how to welcome our foreign guests in the best way possible. And we have to thank Mayor Ahong Chan for that celebration. It was a grand one, and it also was timely because it was also together with the 500-year celebration of our Christianity. There's so much things to look forward to, fortifying that Christian spirit that we have, that strong faith that we have, not just on how we do things, especially on the hospitality side, but on many of our brothers and sisters Cebuanos who really extend the best way possible, no, to receive visitors and guests. So this is Abaca Resort Mactan, which Cebu Landmasters is proud to introduce, and that we hope that this will bring bigger things for us to come, not just from Cebu Landmasters per se, but for many of our enterprising people who will be engaging in tourism and extending the best hospitality that we are known for. So to the Department of Tourism, headed by Secretary Bernadette Puyat, to, of course, the official dam of Lapu-Lapu City, headed by Mayor Ahong Chan, we thank you for all the support. And to the team of Cebu Landmasters, aided by the spirit of the past operations that we had of Abaca, from Jason Hayat, from the team, the architectural team of Sharon, no? The world-renowned architect that has been made possible this very significant project, together with the local counterparts in Ayadea. No? We are expecting this to be in place sometime on the last quarter of 2024, when we will be back to the robust times in Cebu, and also in our country, who is really building up our hotel and tourism industry. So thank you very much. I hope dili ng reception sa ato.
Thank you very much, Mr. Soberano, for your passion and vision for Cebu and the rest of the Visayas and Mindanao. Thanks to you and Cebu Landmasters, we can all look forward to a more exciting Abaca Resort Mactan. Now, at this point, we now open the floor, or in this case, the Q&A box, for your questions or clarifications. Please feel free to type in your questions now and address our friends from CLI and the Abaca Group for any questions you may have about Abaca Resort Mactan. As there will be no separate press conference after this, we also invite the members of the press and our influencers to share your questions with us, and if applicable, to indicate to whom you wish to address them. Now let me introduce to you our set of panelists joining us in our Q&A portion this afternoon. Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Cebu Landmasters Incorporated, Mr. Jose Franco Soberano.
Hello.
Director of Asset for CLI Premier Hotels Cebu Landmasters Incorporated, Mr. Matthias Bergenthal. Founder and Chief Designer of Bureau Ole Shirin, Architect Ole Shirin. Principal Architect and President of IDEA Philippines, Architect Jojo Tolentino. An Executive Chef and Managing Partner of the Abaca Group of Companies, and the founder of Abaca Group, Mr. Jason Hyatt. Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Cebu Landmasters Incorporated, Mr. Jose Soberano III. Now, we would like to remind all of our audiences or our guests this afternoon to please type in your questions in our Q&A box, as we will try to direct them straight to our panelists, and so you can get to know a little bit more about the Abaca Resort Mactan. But so to get the ball rolling a little bit, get to know more about the newest Abaca Resort Mactan, I would like to throw a question to Mr. Jose Soberano III. Sir, may I please ask you, what is the significance of Abaca Resort Mactan to the company, this being the company's first resort portfolio? All right, I believe that Mr. Soberano, I will repeat the question if you are able to hear me. Maybe thumbs up or...
Yeah, hi Carla. I'll answer it ahead on behalf of our group while they're still working things out. Of course, it's very significant. We see this as a project beyond Cebu Landmasters. This is really our vote of confidence in our tourism industry in Cebu, in the Philippines. As you all know, pre-pandemic, we were breaking records in terms of our tourism arrivals. We were building up our tourism infrastructure. And we call this like a pause. And it makes us very proud that we're launching this in the midst of this recovery because we know that there's so much the Philippines has to offer, especially in Cebu. And what better way to do it than by coming out swinging with CLI's first resort, and a very special one with timeless, breathtaking architecture, a very thoughtful message is conveyed thanks to Ole, thanks to our local team with IDEA, and it's coming together very well. So as you know, CLI has done 100 projects, but it's our first resort. We wanted to make sure we didn't want to take any chances by coming up with the best possible resort.
Well, Mr. Soberano, we are all excited for this pandemic to be over, so we're counting down the years. But I think you guys have set the level even higher for our excitement by giving us something to really look forward to in 2024. So may I also ask you, you were discussing that you guys are launching this during amidst of a pandemic. I mean, this is, where businesses are having a hard time, and even, infrastructures are having a hard time being built because of so many restrictions right now because of the pandemic. How challenging has it been for CLI to construct this luxury resort and to really fulfill the detailed design concept of the architects? I mean, how will CLI ensure its execution?
Well, I'll answer the first portion. It's indeed challenging, but I just feel very proud and about our hospitality industry. Even during pandemic, there's a lot of local travel. We frequent our resorts in Mactan, and I can really say that our hospitality members of our hospitality industry are the best. The warmth, you could really feel the warmth when they're talking, when they're checking you in, or when they're delivering room service. The warmth of Filipino hospitality is almost unmatched, right? So this one is for them. There's hope. There's a lot to look forward to. And of course, the timing is good for our side. We have 3 years to construct this. We're preparing to mobilize at the site. So I would say Ole has definitely made this not really challenging, but he's made it very exciting for us. As he talked about the architecture, no floor is the same, no balcony is the same. There is so much romance, in the storytelling, in the architecture of the design. And I actually talked to him yesterday over the phone. I believe he's in Europe. I'm here in Cebu. I promised him that we will honor the intent fully. Now, whatever we've shown, we're going to deliver, or even better than what is expected. It's really the resort Cebu deserves. It's the experience I want to experience. I'm very meticulous when it comes to construction. We're bringing in only quadruple A general contractor for this project, and we're going to keep the market updated until we finally have our first guest staying in the new Abaca.
Well, thank you so much for that, Mr. Soberano. We are definitely looking forward to the opening of Abaca Resort Mactan.
Thank you, Carla.
So I'd like to throw a question to, of course, the head of the Abaca Group, the founder, the man himself, who gave us the original Abaca Resort, Mr. Jason Hyatt. Now, Mr. Jason, the old Abaca Boutique Resort was already very successful and very highly rated. I mean, even right now, the restaurants with the Abaca Group, you guys have some of the most delicious food to eat here in Cebu. What made you decide to collaborate with Cebu Landmasters and redevelop the property?
Thanks, Carla. As you know, Abaca was just 9 rooms, and for several years we had been consistently full with a waiting list most of the time. It was quite clear to us that we were unable to reach our full potential with the resort, and we needed to do something. And as I mentioned earlier, it started with a simple conversation with Franco in his office. I basically asked him something to the effect of, what type of building do you see on the Abaca property? And he asked me if I was serious. And we were both really intrigued by the possibility of building something special. And the next thing you know, we're kind of all sitting here today launching this resort that Ole has designed for us. And since I'd already worked with CLI, we were not really that concerned of them helping us to reimagine what the resort could be. So they're absolutely the perfect partner, and I can't see that we would have done this with anybody else.
Now we know that Abaca Resort Mactan, you guys are gearing up to be very, very competitive against all the other luxury and high-end resorts in Mactan and the others in the Philippines. But what do you think will set Abaca Resort aside, or what will be the greatest highlight of it compared to the other ones in the strip of Mactan?
That's a good question. I'm actually not looking at it as competition. Our strength has always been to deliver this unobtrusive, personalized service in the hotel and a fantastic food experience in the restaurant. So for us, it's always been our goal to welcome guests if they were in some sort of holiday home rather than in like this typical hotel environment. We're going to continue with that philosophy and stay committed to who we are and deliver, what we do, which is the true Abaca experience. Our hope is that by continuing with this vision, we will contribute to the continued success of Mactan as a top tourist destination in the country and hopefully the region.
I really, really love that you said you are not trying to be competitive. I think that's why Abaca Resort Mactan is going to offer the best luxury experience, because you guys are personalizing it to each and every one of your guests. Thank you so much, Mr. Hyatt, for a wonderful, wonderful resort, and we very much look forward to its opening.
So do we. Thank you.
And the delicious food that will be curated for the...
For sure.
We throw it now to, of course, to the architect, the man behind one of the visions of Abaca Resort Mactan. To architect Ole Scheuren, which I hope I have been pronouncing your name right. I've been practicing my German a little, so I'm hoping I got it right. You have designed some of the most beautiful buildings and world-class architectures in the world. What do you think makes Abaca Resort Mactan stand out from your portfolio?
I think it's really the way in which this project is not only about big architecture, it's actually about all the very small things. It's about the personalized and individual experience that you will have in this building. My architecture in general is concerned with, and for over 2 decades, I've defined architecture not simply as delivering a space of functionality, but actually thinking about architecture as a space for the lives of people, for their personal experiences, for their psychologies, and for their memories. And I think this will be a very special place to create memories, to collect memories, and to embed in the journey of your life. That a visit coming to this place, exploring the architecture, exploring all the offerings. And I think this is where what Jason was talking about, how you define what a hotel actually delivers today. There's so many hotels, there's so many possibilities where we can travel, and there's so many products that are somewhat standardized. And I think the challenge today is how to create a non-standard product, how to create a product where people that come, the guests, can not only find a particular kind of service, but almost find their own place within the greater context of the offerings. And in that way, I've created an architecture that is really about the scripting of stories, the possibilities of these personal experiences, It is about celebrating nature, the ocean, the jungle, the water, and I think this is what we're giving.
Well, I have to say, architecture, and when I was watching the video of you describing Abaca Resort Mactan, I like to feeling influencer for me a little here. I think all the influencers and vloggers are watching right now. Every place in the new Abaca Resort Mactan is definitely IG worthy from your design. I think there's going to be a lot of posts about it when you guys open your doors in 2024, and we thank you for that. But what was your main inspiration behind the new and reimagined Abaca Resort Mactan? Because it is a very beautiful design, and personally something that I haven't seen in resorts here in the Philippines itself. So what was your main inspiration?
It was really how do you translate a notion of exclusivity and intimacy, but also a notion of the personal into a project that goes from a very, very small scale to a slightly larger scale. And I think this is where maybe most hotels struggle. When you create a slightly larger entity, you lose that sense of individualized experience. And through the particular language we've chosen, with a reference to the architectures that have emerged and existed in Cebu over the decades and even centuries, the way in which we bring nature into the architecture is really an integral part, not as a plug-on or a separate entity, but the way in which the nature or the architecture itself inhabits nature. I think these are all very specific and for me very powerful tools and ways to craft a special experience.
Thank you very much, Architect Sharon. Now, we would also like to ask, of course, Architect Jojo Tolentino, how were you able to infuse the local touch and expertise to collaborate with the team of Bureau Ole Shirin for Abaca Resort Mactan?
Thank you for the question. Well, first of all, I have to say that it has been a pleasure collaborating with Ole's team. And the process has been very enjoyable from the start until this phase of the project. Our role as the local architect for the project is to make sure that we develop the design and execute it to conform with the intent, the vision that Ole has created for the project. And not only Ole, but also in collaboration with the owners, Abaca and Cebu Landmasters. We have to provide them with information initially on what can be built in this area in terms of code compliance, because it's important that it has to be a safe building. But more than that, what do people look for? What are the cultural peculiarities of a place like Mactan? And then up to, and we go to the interiors, what are the available materials, products? Cebu is known for high quality furniture, for example. What are those furniture that could be brought in to give this development a very local taste, a local flavor? And in the end, what we're striving to do is to, aside from being true to all this design, also create a project that could truly be world-class.
Well, you have created something already world-class, and I can't imagine how even more amazing it's going to be when we see it in the actual. But, I mean, right now we're doing this virtually, right? We're having our panel virtually, and we're launching it normally we would be launching this with a massive big event here to really commemorate this day of a very special opening in 2024. But I can't imagine how hard it must have been for you guys to create a beautiful piece of architect, and for the city of Lapu-Lapu through this pandemic. So how has it been? How's the experience been collaborating with the different architects and consultants, trying to create this design process during the pandemic?
Well, luckily for the project, everybody is technology enabled. If you think about it, this call is coming from several cities, even from different countries around the world, and we made it work. The technology obviously played a big part, but more importantly, the team had the resolve and determination to push with the project despite the limitations of not being able to work face to face. It's a different way of working, but in the case of this project, it has worked really well. And it speaks not only of the level of technology that each of the firms or participants have available, but also the passion and, as I said, the determination of all the team members so that we can push through with this project despite all the limitations that we have faced in the past 1.5 years.
Well, on behalf of all the Cebuanos and Filipinos and anybody who will visit Abaca Resort Mactan in the future, daghang salamat. Thank you so much for really pushing through, even though it's been very challenging for you guys, to really make sure that the Abaca Resort Mactan dream comes true by 2024. So daghang salamat. So now we would like to also ask from Mr. Matias Bergenthal, the man who's heading the hospitality arm of the Cebu Landmasters Incorporated family. Mr. Matias, CLI has revealed 3 hotel projects in Cebu this year alone. You guys have been very, very busy. Sofitel Cebu, Mercure Downtown, and now Abaca Resort. So what is the strategy behind this? Did you guys, your plans change during the pandemic, or was it always set to really launch this year?
Thank you, Carla. We see really a big potential in the hospitality market, despite the situation. Before the pandemic, international arrivals were steadily increasing and reached like 8.3 million in 2019. And even occupancy rates in Mactan for upscale hotels were between 80 to 90%. So really very high. And we really believe that the tourism market in the Philippines will grow stronger and will also catch up with neighboring countries who really have already very high number of tourist arrivals pre-pandemic. The Philippines is really still a little bit of a hidden gem, which the richness and the beauty of its natural resources, which has to be discovered and displayed further to the guests, and especially the warmth and the hospitality and the kindness of the people is really a very important asset in the hospitality business. So we are really convinced at CLI that tourism will bounce strong back, especially by 2024 or 2025 when our hotels are opening up. With our new hotels, you mentioned Sofitel Cebu, which is a luxury resort, which is in the business park of Cebu, or Mercure, which is a mid-scale product in the city, in the old city of Cebu, and now our newest and first resort. So we are very diversified, and we really want to capture the new market. That's why we want to be there, and we are very sure that by 2024, tourism is back, and we have very good products for this.
Well, I think you have an amazing team behind you, Mr. Bergenthal. They have been working tirelessly for this, and you as well, and everybody in Cebu Landmasters to make this happen. So we are very, very much excited for the projects to come. So before we wrap up our Q&A segment, we would like to ask the man who founded Cebu Landmasters, the one who really has visions for Cebu's luxury resort future. Mr. Soberano, are you there with us, joining us now?
Yes, right here.
Sometimes we encounter technical difficulties, right, with virtual events. We cannot help it, but we pivot. So we're glad to welcome you back. Mr. Soberano, you are really the man behind the vision of Cebu Landmasters. But I can only imagine, like we said a while ago, it's already been very challenging during the pandemic. But what is your real estate outlook given the pandemic? You have, of course, 3 hotels opening up and one beautiful resort. But what is your real estate outlook given the pandemic? And How will CLI still able to thrive in today's challenging conditions?
We're faced with a lot of challenges. We know that. And if we looked at our performance last year in terms of sales, in terms of building up our assets, it has remarkably done well, no? And that the most difficult of times. Now, when you're able to overcome a situation like that, and things are moving, no? The only reason why our level of infections hasn't really gone down as much as we would want it to be is basically of the slow process, no, of our vaccination. There were a lot of struggles in terms of supply, and we are an archipelagic country, and the matter of delivery and actual process of vaccination face a lot of challenges. And now that it has rolled out, no, we cannot be more optimistic than what we have experienced. No, we're still in it, but I feel that we are in the step of the right direction by not slowing down on the project that were envisioned for the past years. No? I think this is the best time for us to bring it out and complete it, because we know that these are only temporary times, and the better will come out. And this is the time when we are also itching to go around and travel. We talked about sometimes the yips that we are experiencing in communication, in this digitalization that we are having, the virtual communications. Sometimes we have our here, but in the case of tourism, it's not something that you are going to do virtually. You really have to go to the place where you want to go. That's why a lot of our travelers, both the local ones and those that are foreigners, are already missing this. That significant number, I think the best is yet to come. We are reminded of this pandemic. We cannot be more than cautious moving forward. And we in Cebu Landmasters always have this in our minds, that we would like to contribute in our own small way to make this a better world. How much better is it on an opportunity that we feel that the location that where Abaca Resort Mactan is, that is to us the best use. The concept that Oli Sharon together with Jojo Tolentino, with Jason Hyatt, LI team with Franco there and Matias, all these combined minds, perfectly put together the best use. You cannot leave Abaca to where it was before. A horizontal space. Of course, that was the best use during the time. That's why we have to move it, maximize the opportunity. It has to have that resort feel. And we are confident that this will be a very unique product in Mactan. You cannot see it anywhere. You can see all the resorts, the big ones in Mactan, but nothing similar to what we are going to deliver. So we are very excited on what's happening. I'm very happy on how the team has gelled together, and really, just like you, Carla, we are as excited.
Well, Mr. Soberano, you have put an excellent team together. You guys are really going to create one amazing destination for all Filipinos and for everybody in the world who is going to see the Philippines as a new tourism destination. So we know that, hospitality, as Mr. Franco was saying a while ago, in the Philippines has always been pretty amazing here. But one of the better things here in Cebu, we have to say, is really the culinary experience. So we do have a question from one of our viewers this afternoon, or one of our guests, from Mr. Luis III Kibranza, would like to ask Mr. Jason Hyatt a question. And his question is, with the influence of Abaca in the Cebu culinary scene, will Abaca Resort Mactan feature its own flagship resto featuring something different as well? Or what's the vision like for Abaca Resort Mactan culinary-wise?
Well, as I mentioned before, we have like 5 food and beverage concepts within the resort, but Abaca restaurant itself will absolutely be coming back. It will absolutely be on the roof. And we've got something really special planned for that. We plan guest chefs coming through regularly, and I want to take it to the next level of what a restaurant in Cebu can be. And I think it's time. So we're building a really special space up there. So that will be really interesting. We also have a live fire, meaning there'll be fire in the middle of the room, Asian restaurant, which will be on the first floor, which I think is also going to be pretty amazing and unlike what's been seen yet in Cebu. And then of course the other outlets. So yes, Abaca's coming back.
And I think everybody is very much looking forward to that, because the culinary experience with Abaca was already fantastic. But I think you guys are merging, not just the culinary part, but the whole experience as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Hyatt. I have another question here, our last question for this afternoon, which I would actually like to ask Mr. Soberano III again, if you may join us on screen. So we have been really reiterating about the pandemic and how it's been very challenging, and it's really, this came out of nowhere, right? The pandemic, and everybody was hitting this from all industries. So we would like to ask, in case, fingers crossed it never happens again, but in case, Margot Kamaya would like to ask, as we usher in what we call quote unquote new normal because of the effects of the pandemic, were there any considerations or inclusions to the design to accommodate the new protocols that might take place in the year 2024?
Oh, yes, definitely. No, the learnings are there, and even in the matter of housing, we thought that the best way to address the basic issue of connecting with our buyers, or our target buyers, is how to make it accessible, for these buyers to now have a way of knowing exactly how things are moving, with the projects that we have, addressing their needs, for example. So since we cannot do a face-to-face interaction, we have to be more creative, and that's why the virtual, the digitalization process have come into place. Now, the matter of the booking process now, looking at the new normal, this will now be basically enhanced. How are we supposed to connect with these target markets that we are looking at? So that's the first step. And then, how do you make sure that you are already there in the shores of Mactan, that they are as safe as possible? How do we in the industry should be able to assist that? And then, more important, in 2024, the last quarter, when you have our guest in Abaca Resort Mactan, we want to make it a total experience that feels secure and safe, providing accessibility to whatever emergency situations that can be. So even the matter of the medical care, that has to be in. The design aspect, I'm sure, took into account how can things be safer. The call of social distancing made it more pronounced during the height of the pandemic, now on a new normal, what is that minimum requirement? So these are questions I'm sure our team have figured into the design, and all of these elements have to be considered and put together to ascertain that the lessons of the pandemic will be made noticeable and be recallable for us to ascertain that it will not happen again. No, that's something that we would always be aspiring for.
Yeah, then Carla, if I may add on a technical perspective to reinforce what our CEO has mentioned. Of course, when Ole, Jojo, my team, Jason was designing this, it was January 2020, you know, and you know, it reached March 2020. So we really had an opportunity to say, now, how can this resort be ready for the new normal or the better normal? This project, me being a developer, I can really say this has the best natural ventilation among all our projects. As architect Ole say, this is a tropical village, but since it's very personalized, you might not even see the other guests. Now you all enjoy on your own. You'll be pampered on your own, and that's why it's a boutique resort. There are only 125 keys, and this will give a very unique advantage, so that there is enough, you know, spacing to enjoy with your own group, with your families, and it's curated very well. And we're very excited because this product is definitely designed with that better normal in mind. And you know, as we said, we were designing this over Zoom meetings every week from April to last year up to today. And you can say that this experience will be better, no? Pandemic or not, this will be a better experience is how it's being designed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Soberano, Mr. Franco Soberano, and Mr. Jose Soberano. You know what? We all want it to be over, but if in any case, I would not mind being 14-day lockdown in Abaca Resort Mactan. I would like to extend that actually, maybe to get away from my kids. So sometimes, you know, I would love to do that. But anyways, we're all so excited. And thank you everyone for joining in that very engaging forum with our distinguished panelists from CLI Premier Hotels, the Abaca Group, IDEA Philippines, and Bureau Ole Shiren. Daghang salamat kaninyong tanan for joining us this afternoon. Thank you from all parts of the world. You guys have really taken your time to help us launch this very, very momentous event here in Cebu. Again, indulge us with your comments for all of our guests today, for today's online reveal of Abaca Resort Mactan by using our official hashtags, hashtag Abaca Resort Mactan and Cebu, hashtag Cebu Landmasters, and tagging us on our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram at Abaca Resort Mactan and at Cebu Landmasters. Also check out Abaca Resort Mactan website via www.abacaresort.com. And that is a wrap for the Abaca Resort Mactan virtual reveal, another world-class luxury boutique resort from Cebu Landmasters and the Abaca Group. I think I am really speaking for everyone who's attended and may not have attended this afternoon, actually, when I say that we all can't wait to experience a luxury resort living in the heart of the Philippines. Again, I'm Carla Henry Aman. We appreciate your time and your presence today. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you at the Abaca Resort Mactan in 2024. Stay safe and in high spirits, everyone. And like our friends at Cebu Landmasters love to say, live extraordinarily. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.